is World Fair Trade Month, and businesses have been urged to demonstrate their commitment to fair trade and sustainability by joining the Fairtrade Movement. But consumers have been urged to play a much bigger role by supporting brands that put the environmental and social good above profits. This means paying more attention to the products we opt to buy. But how do we do that? How do they know that a wine or coffee brand, is complying with sustainable and ethical practices? Let's discuss this. We're now joined by Sandra Ndlovu, who's a spokesperson for the Fairtrade International Southern African Network. Thank you so much for your time, Sandra. We do appreciate it. Let's just start off with the importance of World Fair Trade Month. We do know that May is the month of World Fair Trade, and how important this actually is and how it impacts our daily lives. People just think, oh, I'm buying this cup of coffee, like I mentioned in my introduction, or this bottle of wine, or this watch strap, but not really knowing the sequence of how it was actually manufactured and sold.
Yes, correct. Thank you so much for having me. I think that one of the things that we are trying to encourage people is actually to become a lot more intentional about what they buy. And that starts with asking the right questions. Where does it come from? What was the process of sourcing it? Who was involved in working on designing or growing the specific product? And how were those who were involved in designing or producing, how were they treated? And so I think as consumers, we need to become a lot more intentional about asking the right questions. One brand is not equal to another brand.
Let's also move over to working conditions, because this goes hand in hand with how things are produced and manufactured. There also needs to be a fairness in terms of how workers are treated, especially in these mass factories where we often see mass production, and then you think you're buying a dress or whatever it might be, but you don't actually know how that was manufactured, especially when it comes to the working conditions of many.
Correct. I think one of the things that we cannot turn a blind eye to anymore is the fact that a lot of what we wear and what we eat, there has been a lot of child labor, unsustainable wages that have been paid, etc. And this has come to the fore more and more in recent years. So this is a reality. For fair trade, what we are saying is that fair trade is a model that really works towards ensuring that people are treated decently in their working conditions or working spaces, that they get a fair wage and salary. But then beyond that, we also need to ensure that we take care of our environment, because that is also impacted on when it comes to anything that we consume or wear.
Just from your analysis as the World Fair Trade, would you say that child labor, for instance, is getting worse? We see this mass production, we see this need for online shopping. There's so much out there to buy, and you often ask yourself, how do they make this stuff so quickly? Like, how is this turnaround so quick, and sometimes often very cheap? Would you say that child labor and unsustainable wages, it's getting worse?
Is it getting worse? I think that's not a straightforward yay or nay. I think what it is it's getting a lot more airtime, and people are a lot more aware of what is happening. I think we've had mass production for decades. We've always turned a blind eye to how that happens, where it happens. Now, however, I think we are a lot more clued up. We are a lot more present, and we are a lot more concerned about how people are treated. So I think child labor and unsustainable wages has been around for a very long time.
Certainly. Good point there that you make. Sandra, I just want to ask you how businesses or even individuals can, demonstrate and show their commitment and interest in World Fair Trade, and making sure that they are fully aware of what they're buying, they're fully aware of where this product is manufactured and where it comes from, and they're not contributing to, child labor or whatever it might be.
I think, Heidi, maybe the first thing would be for businesses specifically to partner with Fairtrade. We are very intentional about what we do, where we source things. I think with all Fairtrade certified products, there is traceability. So you can trace it all the way back to when a seed was put into the ground up until when it ends up on the store shelves. So there would be a call for them to partner with us. We do have some brands that are very actively partnering with us, like Woolworths. We've got Faithful to Nature, Cyber Sellers, Bean There Coffees, etc. So these are brands that have come out and totally support us. As far as consumers are concerned, I think that as Africa, we've moved away from being only producers, and we are now active consumers. And so I think that as consumers, we need to be a lot more intentional about what we put on our backs, what we eat, and where we purchase it from. And so when you use your buying power as consumers, you are actually investing in the life of a worker. One of the things for Fairtrade that sets us apart is what we call the premium. So over and above the cost of a bag of coffee or a bottle of wine, there's an additional amount that gets paid to workers directly, and they get to decide what they do with that money. They invest it into projects. A lot of them use it for bursary funds, or they use it for aftercare facilities for their kids, etc. So there's a practical way in which you can be in which you can help to make agriculture or your buying power become more sustainable and make a difference in the life of workers, farm workers, specifically within South Africa in hired labor.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for your insights and for highlighting this very important issue. That was Sandra Ndlovu from the Fairtrade International Southern Africa Network.